Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Friday afternoon, the Dom Husam. It's just me and Husam today. So far, nobody else has challenged. In fact, no, that's not true. Lewis, the City fan, has challenged him to a one-on-one debate on Straight Facts, and we'll get that arranged soon. But Sam, welcome back to the show. Good to see you. Are you well, my friend? You good?
Yeah, I was just waiting to see who else you're gonna pull out the bag. You know, someone, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, suddenly gonna spawn next to you. Go like, I want to challenge with some. You know, he turned into David Beckham in Halloween, so that's maybe he's up for it next. I mean, listen, just like Khabib Nurmagomedov, undefeated, send location. Whoever want to challenge me, I'm here. You know, big up the people. You see, people need to understand something. I have the streets on the football terrace because the comment section are just elite. They always show me love as well. Big up everyone in the chat, except Spurs fans, because I think they have an agenda against me. Other than Spurs fans, big up everyone else, man. I can't lie to you. Listen, we remain undefeated. 4 from 4 right now. If LB wants a piece of this cake, we ready, man. 5 from 5. Another win right there.
Man's going on that Khabib title charge, that title defense charge there. I like it, bruv. I like it. Viewers, of course, hit like buttons. Please subscribe. Turn on bell notifications as well. One of my haters has called me out. Oh, I love it. I love it. Listen, Prime here. I love this guy, Prime. He says, anyways, my Ute. Hello, bruv. He says, check out my comments on Sky's channel, not the Premier League one, but the Sky Sports News one. 10 our press conference, read and digest and comprehend. Okay. Oh, he said something else. He says, Wagwan, my Ute. Man tries to tell me about football. Imagine that. I know you don't like my football opinion, Prime. I want to just say to you at the top of the show, then why'd you come to comment on my stuff every day if you don't care about what I've got to say about football? I would just love to know why. I'm not challenging you. I just want to understand, if I'm that bad, why do you watch every video I do? Why do you comment on every show that I do? I think deep down inside, you love me, brother. And I love you too, Prime. I love you too. Hope you're doing well. Loads to talk about today. The first question I have for you is Zinedine Zidane has already publicly said no to Manchester United. And first of all, I said yesterday on the show, anyone who thinks we're getting Zinedine Zidane is off their head. Big up Faz, by the way. By the way, on United Stand, I was dying watching his video where, again, I only saw a clip where it's Zinedine Zidane. We're not getting him. He's rejected Man United. Are you surprised to see that rejection?
I mean, no, I'm not surprised to see the rejection, to be honest with you. I think any manager with a functioning brain cell will reject Man United right now because it's just the same old cycle over and over again. I made my earliest prediction. My second earliest prediction was Man United related, and I believe I said it on Straight Facts that Ten Hag is going to get sacked this season. I said, his burial is going to be at Anfield, December 16th. I even remember the date. That's how many times I've said it, so I remember that as well. With Zidane, look. Like he understands the position that he's going to be put under. He understands the pressure that he's going to be put under. He understands, what comes with managing Manchester United. He's managed Real Madrid. Let's be honest here. As much as Man United fans think they're the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world. Real Madrid is next level. Real Madrid, even if you don't even just play the media game, you get sacked. Zinedine Zidane was sacked after winning 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues. Or quote unquote, he left with mutual consent. That's what they like to say. Same thing with his second stint, where he won another Champions League, I believe it was, and a La Liga title as well, and he still ended up leaving. So, first of all, I would like to say publicly, I think Zinedine Zidane is actually one of the most underrated managers. I'll be honest with you, 100% one of the most underrated managers. And the reality is, look. I think he'd do a good job anywhere if given the backing and the support of the board. If he gets the backing financially, he'd do well. But I don't think he at Man United right now. Look, I know the Glazers thing, and you said as soon as someone mentions the Glazers, go like, yes, we do go like that because it's a balance. It's a balance with blame. We cannot sit up here and say if Terry right now says the reason why we can't win the Premier League is the Glazers, I'd agree with him. The reason why we can't win the Champions League is the Glazers. I agree with him. But we can't blame the Glazers for the loss against Man City or the loss against Newcastle, stuff like that. Individual results, the Palace, the Brighton, the stuff that you're seeing on the pitch. So I think there needs to be a balance of blame. There are certain things Ten Hag's going wrong.
Yeah.
There are certain hills he's died on that he's going to have to pay for. The Bruno and Rashford hill, we've spoken about it already. I'm sure you've heard it from 900 Man United fans already, not just myself, you know. I don't know how many times Terry's heard, we need to drop Bruno, we need to drop Rashford. He's probably heard it a million times. So there's many decisions that he's making that I think are affecting him negatively. Certain things in the press is affecting him negatively. Tactic, you know, all of that stuff. You know, we've had conversations about it. I just think Ten Hag is not really doing himself any favors. He is now. And with Zinedine Zidane and any elite manager, I think any elite manager after the last 4 years specifically, I'm talking Ten Hag, Oli, Ralf Rangnick, and who was the guy before Oli? Mourinho. Those 4 years specifically, like these 4 time frames at Manchester United right there, for me, if you're an elite manager looking at what's happening at Man United, you're going to go like, nope, I don't want any part of that. I'll be honest with you.
I agree. Zidane, again, the Man United fan in me would love Zidane to come to this club. I think there's a tremendous manager in there. The football fan in me would warn him away. There's a story today, I haven't read it in detail, that Man City are looking at Kobe Mainu, the young player coming through. The Man United fan in me says, stay away from this kid. I think he's got stardust in his boots. The football fan in me says, sign him, please, because we'll ruin him. And this is the difference between me and a lot of Man United fans at the minute. I'm living in reality. And the reason that I didn't agree that Ten Hag would be sacked this year is I thought he was instilling his long-term philosophy, He told us he's not doing that because he doesn't have the players to do it. But you've brought 14 in, I think 9 permanent. So the fact we understand you maybe couldn't do it from day one, but I understood that we were creating a philosophy that was to, I'm not saying play like Ajax on every blade of grass, but for there to be a kind of foundation of that would be installed in the club and would live on beyond this manager. The fact that we're not, and we're looking to play the same pragmatic short-termism style that we've been doing for 5, 6, 7 years, Ten Hag's the wrong guy. But Zidane, by the way, is also the wrong guy for this, because you could argue he is a short-term manager because he didn't stay for that long at Real Madrid, but he's not. I don't think he's a short-term manager at a club that behaves short-term and doesn't have a strong foundation behind it. I don't think he'd be a success. I don't think Ten Hag will be a success. I don't think what Big Andrew's done at Tottenham, he couldn't do at Man United. What De Zerbi's doing at Brighton, he couldn't do at Manchester United. And I'm not surprised Zidane has said no.
To which extent are you talking, though? If you're talking about play style, I think he'd be able to do that at Man United. Like if we're talking basics, foundations, because essentially what's happened, you know, Ten Hag's biggest mistake is not continuing with the same stuff he done last season. Why didn't you just continue with the pragmatic defensive approach? That's what I don't get. Because let me just tell you why it's a problem, and then I want you to explain it from your perspective as a Man United fan. I'll tell you why from the outside looking in it's an issue. Essentially, what's happened when you deep it, last season has just become pointless. Essentially, literally, that's if you think about it, last season's pointless because had he continued playing on the counter attack and didn't care about the whole possession, blah blah blah, and just focused on that specific style and carried on his work, even if it was a bit more pragmatic, a bit more defensive, if it yielded results, now you'd be into your second season. Players are used to that. You know, Rashford bangs on the counter, Bruno bangs on the counter. Let
me just interject for a minute. Sorry, you are right. And by the way, I didn't think last year football was that bad. It was exaggerated. Yes, it didn't look like prime Barca. It wasn't total football. But from beginning-ish of October through till we won that Carabao Cup, our football was good. We beat a lot of the top teams. Yes, when we played a lot of the top sides, we countered. We went to the Camp Nou and dominated Barcelona. In those games home and away, we were excellent. Against City at home, excellent. Yes, when we played Liverpool at home, when we played Arsenal at home, when we played City at home, we counterattacked more so than dominated the ball. But that didn't bother me because we won. I wanted us to become better on the ball, and I think we could have again just adapted from last year. He's changed it, but he's changed it in a way where he's trying to make us play more progressively. We're trying to push 2 more of the midfielders up, but you can tell the coaching drills haven't been there since day one. for us to move the ball in that way. So what if you're going to instill a style, you can't say, let me build a squad for 3 years, then start the training for it. You have to start the training from day one.
Yes.
You start the process from day one, and every player you add into that starts, it just makes no sense the way he's doing it. And that's why I've lost faith in what he's doing. I also look at the decisions he's making. He's losing his mind. And I hate saying this, but it's the truth. He started Casemiro with a hamstring strain in a cup game when we didn't need to, and he could now be out until January. So we now, and by the way, Casemiro is not the reason our midfield has been run through this year. That is a myth. It's being run through because both eights push forward. We lose the ball too easily. And then whoever is playing in that sole DM role is being exposed. Amrabat's now being exposed. Casemiro is being exposed. And this is system-based. And you are right. There are lots of things to blame the manager for. And the biggest thing I blame him for is taking the job when he knew that he wasn't going to be able to instill the style of football that he was famed for. He should have said no. And I think arrogance has probably got in his way. Oh, I can do it a different way. Listen, most managers in the modern day era play football one way. And if they're not playing that way, it doesn't work for them. They have to play their brand. I think managers of yesteryear could change it up. I don't think they're like that nowadays. As great as Pep is, I can't imagine him changing. I can't imagine him going to a smaller club and being able to play like Jose. I can't imagine that, right? We've seen, the greats of yesteryear could do that. And that's not a dig. It's the era that we're in, and it's the way football is right now. And it'll probably change again in another 20 years. So it's not about digging anybody out. That's annoyed me. There's a comment that come here through Maradon, and I want to put this out because this is touching on what we said. He says, the reason I oppose you, Terry, is that you're a football. I don't know what he means by that. And these signs are very obvious, but you refuse to admit just blaming the Glazers is weak. But the problem is, Maradon, is that you've commented on every video I've made this week, and in the videos I've explained it. I blame the Glazers ultimately for where we are. But I put blame on the players for downing tools. I put blame on the manager for not instilling his philosophy. I put blame on the manager just a second ago for starting Casemiro in a game that he didn't need to. I blame the manager the other night for not taking Hannibal off sooner. And it meant that we lost our intensity in the press because he nearly got sent off and he couldn't make any more tackles. So to say that I haven't blamed anybody but the Glazers is a lie. However, if they've brought in a manager like Ten Hag to not bring the style of football that he was famed for, that's another mistake with the board. You don't employ Pep Guardiola to play Diego Simeone style of football. Equally, you don't go and employ Jose and say, we have to play the Ajax way, the Barcelona way, the City way now, because he has never done that in his career.
Jose, yeah.
And that's the point I'm making. So if the owners of a club do that, yes, the manager would fail in his attempt. But if you hire the wrong person from the beginning, if I need a brick wall built in my house, Maradon, and I employ somebody who is a dentist and he messes up the brick wall, yes, the dentist messed up the brick wall. But I employed him. So it's still on me. I'm still at fault because I didn't hire somebody with the right skill set to get that job done. And that's the problem with Man United. And that's why the idea of Zidane frustrates me. The idea of people talking about the Zerbi and Ruben, none of these guys are going to fit. We need, because we're run short, again, what I want and what we need are two separate conversations. And I do feel that Man United fans are struggling right now to separate what we need from what they want. And what we want isn't plausible because the structure isn't there. And what we need is a short-term manager to manage a short-term plan. And we're going to keep failing. And when I look at tomorrow, the media says his job's safe. I think we could get turned over badly tomorrow by a team like Fulham. And when you lose to City, when you lose to Newcastle, even though it's Newcastle's second team, there's an element when you look at the quality of those two sides where you get a little bit of a battering, but they're good teams. Tomorrow could be the
Fulham. Game. You really think you're going to be in trouble against Fulham?
Mate, have you watched us play this? See, we are in my. I hate saying this. I want to win tomorrow, and if we win, I'll do my match reaction and I'll praise the performance. If we win and play well, I'll praise it and I'll be happy. But in my heart of hearts, I cannot see a situation that enables us to win. They don't have a goal scorer. That won't stop them. We struggle. We didn't break down a Newcastle team that had 4 fullbacks that started, and one of their fullbacks playing at centre back hasn't kicked a ball for 18 months. We couldn't break them down.
Same reason why Spurs won last week. I remember.
But Spurs, though, like as much as we could look at all the weaknesses of Fulham and go, well, they made this mistake and Spurs did this. Barring Palace in the Carabao Cup, every other game this season that we have won, we have got over the line with an element of fortune, an element of luck, where you go, got away with that. We haven't won a game where we've gone, yeah, but we were by far, probably barring Nottingham Forest. I know we went 2-0 down quickly, but we were very good for the rest of the game and we deserved to win that match. Maybe outside of that game, every other game you've sat there and gone, I'm happy with one, but my God, we're awful. So I just see us going away. Confidence is on the floor. I saw Adam McCullough tweeted something the other day, and listen, every Man United fan is entitled to look at this how they want. It's not a dig, but he says, I'll stay with the manager until the wheels fall off. And I'm genuinely looking at this, and I'm like, bruv, the wheels are off. The axles are gone.
Falling off already.
Like, the wheels have been gone for weeks. The axles are gone. There's nowhere to attach the wheels to anymore, as far as I can see, because these players have stopped working. And the manager has come out, and I know in his press conference he's buoyant and he's saying we're going to be okay. The players are up for this. I know he's done one-to-one meetings with them. I just look at the situation. I've been here before. I've seen this movie. I know what happens, and I use this example again and again. It doesn't matter how often I watch Rocky IV, Apollo Creed dies. And it doesn't matter how many times a Man United manager under the Glazers in his past decade has been in this position. None yet have turned it around. And I haven't seen a single person. I've seen people quote the Fergie articles and this, that, and the other, and where Klopp was year one and where Arteta was year one. That's all irrelevant to me. I haven't seen a Man United manager in this position under this ownership even come close to turning it around once the players stop. So I feel sorry for Ten Hag. I hate talking about him in this way, but it's the writing on the wall. And if tomorrow's result is bad and the performance is bad, he could be sacked tomorrow. The fact the media, you see the little lines coming in, his job is safe for now. That for now means they're looking elsewhere. The reason that the Sporting Lisbon manager has come out, because I ain't been contacted yet, the reason why Zidane has distanced himself from the job is because there is loose contact through intermediaries already happening. And what part of that is the Glazers checking the groundwork for what fans think. And if there's a manager's name that gets linked to us, that gets the fans that want him out excited, they'll start pushing more of these leaks out. The players then look at it, and this is wrong, by the way, but it's what goes on. The players then go, well, we'll down tools because the fans want this new manager. The Glazers are looking at him. We won't win. We get rid of the manager. We get a new coach come in. I'll have a good 6 months. No one will hate on me for a while. They'll all think it was his fault. In 18 months' time, we'll be going back, going, oh, we owe this. The tweets will be there. We owe Ten Hag an apology. We owe this person an apology. Look, at the end of the day, we're a disgrace of a club. Man United fans hate me saying this, but I'm never going to steer away from it until the Glazers are gone or until there is massive reform in our structure. This will happen again in 18 months, even if we sack the manager. And we're dead. We're absolutely, fundamentally dead. And there is no way back for us with our current structure, with or without Ten Hag. So it's him as the manager becomes almost insignificant. Sorry, mate?
If he can turn it around, then he's unbelievable. If he can turn this around, like, I don't know what it is. Like, it might be dropping certain players. It might be changing. You know, my biggest issue, right? This is my biggest issue. And this is what I've criticized Ten Hag even for last season. And I got pushback from Man United fans, from everyone, because I don't think they saw the bigger picture. My biggest issue is as follows. When he first came in, day one, Ten Hag, I'm saying, when he first came in, he had the time of the entire globe to just do whatever the hell you want to do, Ten Hag, because it was after Ranić and Oli. And at that time, that was probably the worst you've ever felt as a Man United fan. It was the absolute worst. If he came in from day one, said, regardless of which players I have, I am going to implement a style of football that I want to play. If he just done that from day one, I'm going to play offensive football. I'm going to lay the foundations for next season. I don't care if we get battered. I don't care if we lose 3-4-0 every now and again, but I'm going to implement a style of play that's going forward. So when we play, because this is what I always say, I don't expect any manager, by the way, Pep Guardiola was one of the greatest managers of all time. Go back and check the tape if you don't believe me. In 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 20, 20, 21, he came to Anfield and he played defensive football. That's Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola did not come to Anfield and go like, we're going to dominate possession, we're going to kill them, because he knows there are certain places where you've got to be different and more cautious. So you can change dependent on certain things. But now the difference is, against 95% of the teams, I'm talking the Brentfords, the Brightons, I'm talking the Villas, I'm talking about teams that are even historically lesser than Man United. You need to be able to play the same way. The biggest problem in what Ten Hag's done is last season has just basically become pointless. All you got out of last season is the Carabao Cup, but the foundations and the building and all of that, he just didn't get it right. And what I said in the summer, I told you guys, Mount and Onana are polar opposite signings, in my opinion, and it's been proven right. I think Mount is more of a player to do what Ten Hag wanted his players to do last season, and Onana is the new kind of play with the ball from his feet type player, which is the possession football type player. And the problem is, I think changing what was successful for you last season, this season, by starting all over again, is what caused him to be in this position. And at the same time, of course, we already know the PR is against him, the media is against him, all of that. You called it 2 weeks ago. You called the article word for word, you know, when there was that big word.
And that's why there's a super chat here that says from Steve that says, Terry, don't you think the tradition of the player power should be stopped? The club is backing the manager and getting rid of the troublemakers a start. I agree with that. That should happen, but it's not going to happen. It's the process, and this is what I think people are ignoring. The process has begun. The club are allowing these leaks to happen. The club is allowing this to happen. In fact, I believe the board are the people that are leaking a lot of this information. I don't actually think a lot of it comes directly from the players. I think it's the board. They'll know what's being said because the board will know what's going on internally, and they're just leaking out to the media the right things. And sometimes it's like reconnaissance. Let's watch for the reaction. Let's see what people say. We've known this for a decade now, since the Glazers become prominent runners of the club as opposed to owners, since Fergie left, that they manage the club almost via the media and social media, what's best for us. Part of the reason for doing that is because they make the majority of their money day to day out of the club on the stock market. So if there's suddenly an encouragement from Man United fans and an excitement, it raises the share price, which makes them millions and millions of pounds. So this is what you have to look at in this circumstance. I want it to stop, you're right. But I know it isn't going to stop under this ownership and under this team. Equally, let's just say Sir Jim comes in. He is coming in. Let's just say he comes in and he brings in Paul Mitchell. He brings in Michael Edwards. He gets rid of the whole ball, the whole recruitment team, and they build say they do genuinely build a brilliant group. I think the damage between this manager and this squad, based on the previous culture, is already done. Already done. Doesn't mean it's Ten Hag's fault. And again, Ten Hag's not a fault for everything. I don't think
sack Ten Hag if Ratcliffe.
Yeah, I don't think he should have kept Ronaldo. I think he was wrong to make the Sancho thing public, but I don't suddenly think that Sancho is this 100% innocent individual that hasn't done anything unprofessional to be in this position slightly. Does that make sense? So I don't feel like everything that's gone wrong is Ten Hag's fault, but I believe his relationship with the squad and the players is so jaded that will need a new manager. So I agree with you. We've got to fix these things, but we didn't start fixing them from the day he arrived. Therefore, the erosion, the rot has already set in. And sometimes you need to cut. And this is the way I think the new ownership or the part new ownership will look at it. Sometimes you've got to cut a piece of you away to grow. And that will be a player or two who are problematic, don't fit what you're trying to achieve. And it will maybe be the manager. What they've also said, and again, I haven't got faith in them completing this, by the way, because I don't like this deal. But what they've said they're going to do is create a style of football that becomes intrinsic at the club. They want to do these things. So let's see if that works. I'm not holding my breath. I think I'll get very blue lips if I do. But you're right. But the point is, these things haven't happened. And the Glazers, we'd know if it was happening because that's what the media reports would say from the club. It would be, we're backing the manager. Any player that's leaking information is going to be like, this is the statement I want to see. Any player leaking dressing room information is going to be sacked. We will remove the players first before the manager. That's what you need to do publicly. That will stop every player leaking stuff. That will help. But they're not doing that. The owners are the ones that are out here, by the way, talking to new managers. Why are they doing that if your job's not under threat? Why would Zidane and Sporting Lisbon have to release statements and talk about this? They know they're reaching out.
He's going to get sacked this season. We all know this. It's just a lie.
Yeah, he's gone. He's a dead man walking already, and it pains me to say it. And I know a lot of United fans hate hearing it, but it's the cold hard reality of this situation. Terry,
unless he turns it around, I don't know how.
If he does that, then again, I'll man's up and say I was wrong and well done him. And if you think he's going to turn it around, please tell me how. I'd love to know, genuinely, I want to know why you think it. Terry, did you see on Twitter the snippet of the newspaper article posted in Fergie's second season in charge? Almost a carbon copy of what they're saying about Ten Hag. Same problem, player power. However, this is the fundamental difference. Now, this comes with hindsight. So people in the day, it would have been different for them. But for us, we knew. Go and listen to what Sir Alex Ferguson has told us about the late, great Sir Bobby Charlton. The ownership, the board, Sir Bobby Charlton was part of that board as a senior decision maker at the time. They were nowhere near sacking Sir Alex. The media wanted him gone. Fans wanted him gone. But Man United internally were supporting him in eradicating player power, supporting him in eradicating the drinking culture, and he was rebuilding the famed academy that had fallen off. Our academy was a mess when Fergie turned up. So there was things going on behind the scenes. Systemic change. Cultural change was happening. The point now, and why the scenarios for me are utterly different, is there is no change at the club. The same toxicity, the same negative culture, the same trigger-happy, uncooperative board still remains in place. So the two situations, and listen, hindsight's a lucrative commodity, are so different from one another, they cannot be compared just on media headlines. We now know why Fergie was backed. Now, again, if we're going through massive change everywhere, Paul Mitchell was in, Martin Edwards was in, and we were changing, I'll be behind the manager, but we haven't. So for me, the scenarios are not the same. I get where you're coming from, but the scenarios are completely different from one another, in my humble opinion, my friend. This here from Ginger Bish says, part of me feels sorry for Ten Hag. He's been hung out to dry by the club. No manager should be allowed to choose signings. That's what recruitment is for. Did you see that Jamie Carragher said this, that he feels Man United managers are given too much power? I want to ask you this. Do you think Liverpool would have been as successful under Klopp if every signing from the beginning of his tenure, Klopp was able to pick?
No, of course not. Of course not. And the same with Pep. The same with all elite managers. Pep Guardiola did not stay up till 3 a.m. to watch River Plate and scouted Julian Alvarez. That did not happen. Let's all stop lying to each other. There are certain managers with better talent ID than other managers. I accept that. I've got no problem with that. No manager is perfect. But at the end of the day, you need people to be working. You need a team. You need scouts. You need statisticians. I'm sure Terry's probably seen one. I've seen one of the clubs like spreadsheets on players and shit. They've got all details of their life, like accurate passes to the left, accurate passes to the right. They go so deep, shit that no one even knows about, like certain stats that wouldn't even interest you guys. I've seen on certain club spreadsheets. So it's a team effort. It's a team effort from everyone. Once again, just ask yourself: was Pep Guardiola awake at 3 a.m. watching Julian Alvarez? No, he wasn't. He got them the scouts.
We have seen the comments from Pep when he's asked about why he's so successful, and he says the team. He says the whole team, the board and the senior decision makers, we're all pulling in the same direction. We all work together, and that is why it works. The Klopp, we know, listen, look, they might have worked out, but you wouldn't have had Mane and Salah if it had been up to Klopp. And look, maybe his signings would have done even better, but I doubt it. I do doubt it. And I think
Grant would have done better. Nah,
exactly. Like I doubt it very much indeed. So from my point of view and perspective, yes, back the manager's style of football, but this was the biggest red flag for me a few weeks ago when I started going, it's done. Was when the recruitment team were leaking information to the media via the board that they didn't agree with the signings the manager was making. And now you look at it and you think, well, the style of football the club wants to play, and the manager has said, I'm playing by the Man United DNA. So he's being told to play this way. Okay. Right. But he's signing players that are for his style of football. So what you have is, this is where it's on the manager and the board. You've hired a manager who has a style of play. You're letting him maybe implement elements of it, but he's got to play the Man United way, which, by the way, you're not doing. It's awful. Fergie didn't play this style of football. So Matt Busby didn't play this style of football. So what are you talking about? But then you're letting him recruit players for his style. It's a mess. That is why we're failing on the football pitch. Because if we're playing the pragmatic way that the club wants the manager to coach, you've got to sign players for that. And we're not doing it. And the manager is partly to blame. The owners and recruitment team are partly to blame, and they are not working as one. That doesn't happen at Liverpool. Doesn't happen at City. Doesn't happen at Barca, Ajax, Dortmund, Brighton, and I'm naming teams that are bigger and smaller than Man United who are run well. And this is where Man United fans sit here and say, just sack the manager. But then what? I don't care, just sack him. You're wrong. That's nonsense. You've got to have more of a plan than that. Equally, people are saying, well, just stick with him. We might get through it. You're mental. I said it the other, just because I want it. My example is this. I'm not 6'4". I can want to be 6'4". I can pray to still grow at 37 and become 6'4". But if I buy a pair of trousers that a 6'4" man would wear, they're going to be too big for me. And that's what Man United do. We have got the wrong trousers for the wrong person, and it ain't going to work. No matter how much you hope and pray and beg and will it to happen, it's not going to happen. You are getting no blood from that stone. And we've got to wake up. We talk about this as fans. We've got to stop putting square pegs in round holes. But why are we backing a manager who's literally a square peg in a round hole? Not based on my opinion at all, based on what he has told us. This is why my mind, oh, you've changed your mind, Terry. You said you didn't want short-termism. I changed my mind because the manager changed it. He said something. I can't believe Man United fans are ignoring it. It's crazy to me. This here says, from the 7-0, Salah 29 GA, Man United 28 goals in the Prem. Yeah, Salah owns Man United when it comes to playing this. He's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. Anytime a club comes out with full support of the manager, that means they're about to get sacked. Yeah, yeah, of course. We all know this. We all know this. And Man United fans are they're acting like ostriches and they're burying their head in the sand.
There was an exact same word-for-word article for Oli, I believe.
All of them right at the end. I've seen it for all of them. Players have given up on the club, not the manager.
That could be a possibility as well.
Listen, I'm not forgiving these players. They are getting no clean slate for me. What I've done too often, I would say, when a new manager comes, right, give all a clean slate, let's go again. And that's what you're going to see, but from the majority of Man United fans. Because they've all got a player they stand, whether it's Maguire, Rashford, Bruno, Sancho,
Martial,
Anthony, Martial. Everyone stands somebody. And it'll be, right, my guy gets another chance again. The one thing I'm doing differently this time, if the manager gets sacked, is the players stay where they are now in my mind. I'm not going to be like fresh slate, no problems from the past, because we can't keep doing that. That's one thing I am changing about my behavior. Terry, you think it's time to delete the club, or is there another way? Well, no, you don't delete the club. The only way is for Man United fans to boycott and force the owners out, but none of them are prepared. Not enough are prepared to do it.
That'll be December 16th. Club will be deleted. Watch.
17th. It's on my birthday, that game.
No way, really?
I know.
I'm so sorry in advance.
I haven't not done a match reaction to any of the top 6 teams now, unless they've clashed at the same time for like 4 years, 5 years. That might be the one day that I go off sick. Do you know what I mean? I might have to.
Do you imagine like you bring Maguire and Evans to Anfield?
On a real level, I cannot even start to think about it. It gives me palpitations. Would accept Ten Hag at Chelsea because he fits more there? Yeah, you guys are trying to do a long-term project, so you're probably right. We're not. So Man United have big pants to fill, and Ten Hag isn't big enough to fill them. Simple, sack him. Yeah, I mean, it's not that we have big pants to fill. It's that he isn't. Yeah, I mean, you could put it that way. That makes it sound like he isn't good enough to manage Man United. I think he is. If we were looking to play a style of football that he is famed for, if we were looking to create a long-term project that we needed him to help coach and run things, and we brought in football people to help create that, then he's the right guy. But yeah, it's square pegs, round holes, my friend. Ten Hag addressed the never Ajax style comment today. Yeah, I've seen it. And he just said he doesn't have the players for it. And he has to adapt and look at the Man United DNA. He's still saying we're never going to play like that. And I think what's wrong is that he's not playing like Sir Alex Ferguson's teams did either. So it's just, and it's because he ain't that manager. He doesn't play that way. It's ridiculous. We keep doing it at this club. We bring in managers that have a particular style of play, and we expect them to change that. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. Terry, actually, how unbiased are you? Well, I believe
no one can be 100% unbiased, by the way.
No, I think
100% is not achievable for any football fan.
Exactly. I would say this. I'm strong in my opinions, and I believe them until I get new information. Then I'll change my mind. What I don't do is play down something I think is good because I don't like that club, or I don't support that club, or I don't act like something is in a terrible situation when it isn't that bad because I don't like that club. I'll be honest about it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of my view on that type of thing. Like, there's a lot of people that saying Chelsea are in a crisis. I think that's nonsense. It's crazy to me. I think they're progressing. I don't think they're the best team in the world or anything, but I think they're progressing. So yeah, I am unbiased, but I don't know. I don't know to what degree, but I don't say
Chelsea
things
are in a
about
better position than Man United because of the whole style of play conversation. That's what Pochettino is doing right now. So that's what I think on Chelsea. Despite them being below you on the table, I think long term they'll have a better impact. But Chelsea have a different type of problem. Their problems in the transfer window.
You owe him an apology for jumping on him for how you reacted about his misconstrued comments. I don't. I've seen his comments today, and I still don't think it's going to work. There's nothing that's been said. He said he's never going to play it because he doesn't have the players to play it, and he can't bring the Ajax style of play because Man United has a DNA, and he has to adapt it and kind of mix the two together. And I don't think they can be mixed together. So this is the point. I don't mind the club not playing the Ajax way. I'm not set on it. But you can't have a manager that coaches in that style, and that's all he's ever done, try and coach something different. It doesn't work. You would not hire a boxing coach to be the head coach of an MMA fighter. You wouldn't hire... Listen, we're doing a Ted Lasso here. You don't hire someone who hasn't got a skill set in what you want to coach it. Man City will not go from Pep Guardiola to Sean Dyche. They will not go from Pep Guardiola to Diego Simeone. An elite manager is a pragmatist at heart. They won't do it because it isn't the style of football they want. It's not about apologizing. It's about understanding my football club and understanding football. You're chatting nonsense, Jay. Absolute fart. United is a gutting out job. Too many rotten apples in the team. Should also get someone on the board with a football background, as it looks like the current board is purely business orientated. Yeah, the board has fouled. The Myrtle, Richard Arnold, it's all fouled. They need new people from top to bottom. No lingering. There's one word we used a lot when I worked in banking, and it was a horrible word. It meant there was a problem with legacy issues. The problem is, even when you get rid of one person like Woodward, the man that took over was his second in command. So you've got legacy issues still. You need a complete clear out top to bottom. Any player that downs tools, gone very quickly over a period of time. All these things need to happen. And until they do, we're dead. If I was a player for United, I don't think I could bring myself to run or work hard anymore. I'd be so disappointed and embarrassed to wear the kit. I also understand that. I'm not condoning it, but I do understand it. We've all worked for places where it's run like crap and you're not motivated. So I get it. Moving on from this, big game this weekend for Arsenal. They went out of the Carabao Cup. We've heard a little bit of bigger fish to fry again. Another percentage of Arsenal fans, listen, big up Lee, big up Northside, big up the manager's got to go. Disgraceful performance. He's got to be sacked for going out of the Carabao Cup. Both quite extreme opinions, in my opinion, for a team that's doing well in the league and we're in November. Firstly, on the game, how do you think they're going to react to that West Ham defeat and perform this forthcoming weekend?
I think Arsenal going on the Carabao Cup should be very disappointing for them, and I'll tell you why. Look, I've always been consistent. All four trophies are major trophies, in my opinion. Every single one of them are major trophies. The Premier League, the Champions League, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup. Now, when Arsenal looked at that season, would they have taken a Carabao Cup alone? Of course they wouldn't have. We know that that's not the case, because I don't want people to twist my words. I'm not saying that they would have just taken the Carabao Cup. No big club, and I mean no big club, other than Spurs, which proves they're not a big club, would take a Carabao Cup only season. No one would want that. If I asked Terry in August, would you take just the Carabao Cup? He would have said no. So let's remove that idea, that context. I think winning, there's something called winning breeds winning. And I deeped it 2 days ago, and it's something that I thought of. I want, this is not about Liverpool, but I'm going to use my club as an example. I want Liverpool Football Club to win the Carabao Cup because I want the Liverpool 2.0, the new players, to get a medal, to taste that taste of success, because winning breeds winning. And that's just how life works. Alex Ferguson's first trophy was a Carabao Cup. Jose Mourinho's first trophy was a Carabao Cup. Pep Guardiola's first trophy was a Carabao Cup. So many different managers came in. They won the Carabao Cup and used it as a trophy to catapult them to something else. Because when you win something, it pushes you on to try win more and more and more and more. From Arsenal's perspective, the problem that they have is they can't guarantee that they win the Champions League. They can't guarantee that they win the Premier League. They can't guarantee that they win the FA Cup. In the Carabao Cup, Man City are no longer in it. The big bad wolf, if you would like, is no longer in it. Man United just got eliminated by Newcastle. So Arsenal Football Club would have been essentially 2 games away from a game at Wembley. Essentially 2 games away from a final. And all these young players that they've got, the likes of, the Martinellis, the Sakas, even the new players, the Rices, they would have felt the feeling, Saliba, Gabriel, they would have felt the feeling of winning with Arsenal Football Club, which would have pushed them on to do more. And I think Arsenal fans should be extremely disappointed with the result. All this bigger fish to fry nonsense is absolute rubbish, with all due respect. I think it's absolute rubbish. I don't believe in this whole bigger fish to fry crap. The only trophy which I genuinely believe does not matter is the Community Shield, because you don't need to win anything to be in it. And literally, me and you are both old enough to remember when it was shared. Arsenal and Spurs, who are rivals, have a shared Community Shield. So I have every right. I have every right to kind of push that trophy to the side. But
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on the Community Shield, and I think they should be disappointed to have gone out. I thought it was a poor performance. I think the performance was predicated by the seeds planted by a big percentage of Arsenal fans that it doesn't matter if we don't win. I don't really care as long as we do better elsewhere. I don't like that attitude. I liken it to when managers and fans say, oh, we've got a lot of games coming up, we're so tired, or we're playing Thursday, Sunday, it means we're going to be too tired to perform. I think this is all seeds of doubt that can then be used as excuses later on down the line. So I think Arsenal fans should be bitterly disappointed they're out. I agree with the Arsenal fans like Lee and Northside, Brandon's Gunnar Souls that comes on here, how disappointed they were to go out. Where I disagree is that at this stage for them, the baby out with the bathwater of sack the manager, because beat Newcastle this weekend, they could be top of the league come Monday. City are probably going to beat Bournemouth, but they could be, and they're in the title race as far as I'm concerned. So I wouldn't sack him because of it. However,
imagine Bournemouth get something against City now.
Imagine. They beat Newcastle, which is, by the way, we'll get into the game in a minute. It's a very hard game, and I'm not dismissing the Toon Army. 100%, I'm not doing that. If they do it, they're in a great position. But going out the Carabao Cup the way they did, with the squad they've got now, with the money they have spent, it's I don't know what you call it, but like a box ticked or a strike where you say, come the end of the season, should you not be close to winning the league? Should you not win another trophy? Then suddenly not winning the Carabao Cup becomes more of a problem. If they go on to win the league, nobody will care. If they win the FA Cup, come second in the league, get to a Champions League final, no one will care. Win the Champions League, nobody will care. Win nothing, and maybe go out early in the Champions League quarterfinals. Maybe finish 15 points at the top, just making a number up here. Then going out becomes a major problem, which is why you can't just say, it doesn't matter, onto something bigger and better, because you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know the problems that you might face. And imagine you could have kept yourself in this tournament, and then you're in a semi-final come January, but by then you've fallen off in the league. You'd rather, what's better, coming third and winning nothing, or coming third and winning the Carabao Cup? Winning the Carabao Cup. So, I think they should be disappointed, but I wouldn't go. I understand, by the way, when it comes to Northside and Lee, that they want the manager sacked irrespective. They don't think he's ever going to win a major trophy. So I know that they see it from there's a much deeper level for them. But I don't think he should be sacked after going out the Carabao Cup because of where they are in other competitions. But now there is more pressure upon them to win. And what's really interesting for me is we've grown a lot of Arsenal fans on the terrace in the last few years. I think they're becoming a scary team. They're one of the favourites to win the league this year. But what's really would trouble me if I was an Arsenal fan is the amount of gooners that hate the idea that they have to win trophies. I think to myself, do you know what club you're supporting? Do you know how big Arsenal are? Do you know that the only reason you're as big as you are is because of the volume, the vat of trophies that you have won? So there has to be pressure on them to win, the same as there is Liverpool, the same as there is City and Chelsea and Man United. Those 5 members of the top 6, there should always be tremendous pressure upon them to win. And Spurs, maybe.
If they leave the season empty-handed, that's when Northside and Lee Gunnar are right, in my opinion. Yes. Now, if they don't believe that Arteta could win anything, then fair enough. I'm not going to tell them what to believe as Arsenal fans. That's up to them. I think it's just reactionary right now to say that you want the manager out, in my opinion. Like it's still a step too far. But at the end of the day, look, they have the right to feel whatever they want to feel. But I also think I mean, I know Lee really values trophies and stuff, and he kind of looks at it differently. But had they ended the season with just the Carabao Cup, they wouldn't really be fully in backing Arteta. They would find a way to minimize it. So I think he needs to win a trophy. But
Well,
also, we can't. 100%. He knows.
no,
Danny knows what I just said.
I want to
It's
say
true.
on that, right?
He
I want to
knows.
say on that. I got into it with a few people on Twitter the other day. It was about Man United. And they're very similar to Lee. And what I found they all do, it's a very clever tactic by these guys this season. I want to praise them for this, is when they're asked the what ifs, they say, well, I'll answer that when it happens. What if you win this? Or what if this happens? Well, then I'll tell you then. Because none of them, and this is, you got United fans like it, Liverpool fans like it, Arsenal. If they say what they will do with the what if, then they're boxed into a corner and they won't say what if. They won't say, yeah, I'll fully get behind the manager if we win a trophy. Because if they win one, then they've got to do it no matter what. And they won't do that. But yeah, listen, if they win nothing this year and they don't come close, like, listen, if they end up on 97 points and miss out on winning the league by 1 point, I don't think it's sackable, because to accumulate that amount of points, you've got to be a tremendous team. And why would you risk like damaging that? Because the new manager might not be as good. But if they fall well out of a title race, don't win the FA Cup, go out early in the Champions League now, Arteta's job is under massive threat because they've built a very good squad. They've built a very good squad. They're ready. They should be ready to win now. And if he can't start getting them over the line, you've got to look at that. You've got to.
What if Arsenal get to the Champions League final? Then are you going to sack him too? Because here's the thing. I understand every single, if you are a Liverpool, United, City, Chelsea fan, you want to win trophies. Arsenal fan, you want to win trophies. I get you. I'm with you. I want to win trophies too. Please don't think I want to leave the season empty-handed. But I'm saying context must apply. Let us be realistic. Let's assume Arsenal leave the season empty-handed, but they challenge for the league and end up finish third, let's say, or second, and they get to the Champions League final. Which director of football with a functioning brain cell would sack Arteta at said point in time? Because this is your first time back in the Champions League in 8 years. In 8 years. So you're not going to go and sack the manager after getting to a Champions League final. You're going to go like, okay, this proves to me that this guy is the guy. So I'm going to give him 1 or 2 more pieces and we're going to try go for it again. They can just edit what they have to do. But the reality is context matters. People dislike listening to this. Context matters.
Anybody that likes that doesn't like context has an agenda that they don't want to be proven wrong with. That's not a dig at Lee or anybody like that. You have to have context, because I'm sure in their heart of hearts, if they miss out on winning the Prem by a point, but they're brilliant. They narrowly miss out on winning the Champions League in the final to Man City, who, you know, it's a close game to win 2-1. You have to think long and hard about sacking a manager after that if you can still see progression. I think progression and trajectory is key. And you have to look at this, what I spoke about earlier with Man United. Who is available that plays a similar brand of football, that can also mentally take your squad to the next level?
Conte, apparently.
Well, but this is the thing. Well, Conte couldn't. If Conte took over this Arsenal team, I think they'd regress, because the style of football they've been taught to play, they suddenly got to learn a new style. Which is why when Jose and Conte took over this Tottenham squad, who by the way, the whole Tottenham system, even their academy, played good football. Poch played good football. Suddenly, you brought these pragmatists in to try and teach them, make them play in a different way. That's why they struggled. It wasn't because the managers are bums. It's because they were asked to play a style of football that goes against the grain of that football club. It doesn't work. Funnily enough, they bring a more attack-minded manager in, and they instantly click into gear. And if Spurs, my apologies, would have sacked Poch and gone for a manager like a Postecoglou straight away, they would not have dropped off the way they have done over the last few years. Who knows? They may have won something by now. You have to stick to what your club's
they won nothing with Poch anyway.
Is. You have to match things up. You guys, Liverpool can't go from Klopp to Simeone. You can't go from
no. Fuck that.
You can't. And that's not because Conte and Simeone are not top-class managers. It's because what's been built at your club under FSG, the profile of footballer, the way your academy plays, the way your whole club operates, is different to how they coach. It's not a match that works, you know. At the end of the day, you have to get these things
Simeone playing
right.
Mo Salah left wing back. That would stink.
But this is the point. It needs to happen that way, and it still staggers me in 2023 why football fans can't comprehend this. It's not about saying Simeone's bad. I actually think, looking at what Ten Hag has said in the last few days and how we're trying to play football, I think Simeone and Conte are perfect for what we're trying to do. Same way Jose was year 1. Year 2 to a certain degree. It will still go wrong because we're run awfully. But in the short term, they'll get better results, in my opinion, than managers that want to play a more open, possession-based style, more tiki-taka, more heavy metal style football. I just think because the players aren't used to that. And that's obvious and key to see. But yeah, I don't think it's time to sack him as of right now. In terms of the game this weekend, how do you see Arsenal getting on at Newcastle?
Shit. This right here is a massive test for Arsenal Football Club. It's away, right? It's at St. James's
Away,
Park.
is it? Yeah.
Can't lie to you. Newcastle, first of all, big up. George. Big up for what you done at Old Trafford. You gave us all joy for 48 hours. So shout out to Newcastle, despite you guys playing Kraft and Dummett as a centre-back partnership. I think the reality is, by the way, with Newcastle away, that is like one of the worst stadiums in the league to go to. Like, it's very difficult to win there as well.
Yeah.
If Arsenal Football Club go away to Newcastle and bounce back and beat Newcastle in their own backyard, then that is a massive, massive, massive statement win, in my opinion, to everyone. Now, Newcastle are a tough team. Newcastle are a tough team to play for anyone in this league, other than us, because we usually beat them. I don't know what it is. We're their bogey team. But they're a tough team for anyone to play in this league. We saw them beat Manchester City. We saw them, destroy Man United. It's just, at the end of the day, with Newcastle Football Club, they have turned their home into a fortress. Even the likes of PSG got a beating there. Now, I know what happened against Dortmund, but we're saying big, massive teams have went there and lost. So, I think this Saturday right here is a massive, by the way, it's a massive game for Newcastle too. Sometimes we're too top 6 centric. I think it's a massive game for them too, because if they beat Arsenal, then they show the world that we're even extra serious than first thought. I think this game, and I don't want to sit on the fence, but it's genuinely, I think my prediction, my honest prediction, I genuinely think this game ends in a draw. I think it's written in the stars. I don't think Arsenal will win the game, and I don't think Newcastle will win the game. I think this probably ends as a draw, to be honest with you. And games like this are very important for title races. And the problem, sometimes Arsenal fans, I feel like they don't realize something, even though I predicted them to win the league. What you need to understand is when you're coming up against Man City, your standards are next level. You just need to just win. Ain't no good result. This draw is a good result because it's at St. James's Park. No, it's not. You have to win if you want to win the league. So, yeah, that's what I'd say, to be honest with you. I think it's going to end in a draw, and Newcastle are a very resilient team defensively. Arsenal Football Club, as soon as it's January 1st, by January 1st, if they do not have a striker signed, they need to all just be Edu out. The January 1st, as soon as the transfer window kicks off, the first here we go needs to be from Fabrizio on Arsenal and a striker. Because I have never seen a football club scream out for a position as much as Arsenal are screaming out for a striker right now. And what buying a striker would help Saka and Martinelli so much. So much it would help Saka and Martinelli. People don't realize it. Ivan Toney would create so much space. Now, Brentford, in my opinion, are taking the piss by asking for 100 million. I don't think no one's going to pay that in their right mind. Even Chelsea with their stupid transfer policy, I don't think they pay that. But they need to get a striker, and there's a perfect striker sat there, unhappy, Napoli Football Club by the name of Victor Osimhen. Go get him. And I think that elevates your team immediately to the next level.
Yeah, look, I think, listen, Newcastle were brilliant.
Who's going to score the goal, Terry? Before you give me your prediction. If I told you right now, Arsenal Football Club, who's going to score? Do you trust Jesus to score? No. Nketiah to score? No.
Well,
Saka,
Jesus is out injured, so Nketiah, I know he got a good hat-trick last week, but no, I don't trust him. Newcastle away is a different kettle of fish. What Arsenal need is that they need, in this game, Saka and Martinelli to come up. They've played well this season at times. They've had good moments. They need them to come alive, and they need Odegaard for the first time this season, really, in a big game, to step up. And by the way, last season away at St. James's Park, he was out of this world, Odegaard, and that is what they need. Newcastle, though, I agree with you. They win this game, they go on to 20 points. They can't even get in the they can't 20, but they can't even get in the top 5 with this win. But it is a statement win, and I think it's a statement win for both clubs. A huge away win against a really good team in Newcastle for Arsenal. It's 3 points that they would it's one of those games where I think only City go, I think we'll get 3 points. For everybody else, it's a want to win, but it might be a draw. It's a game where when you're adding up all your points you're going to get, it might be one where fans will go, oh, maybe a point there. To pick up 3 is big. But for Newcastle, it's big as well because they had a bad start to the season, but it puts them back inside that top 4 / top 5 race, which is really important for them. So I'm excited about this match. I'm quite glad Man United the first game and it gets out the way. Win, lose or draw, I can then focus on the other games and everything else. And I'm excited about this football match. I think it's going to be another, not acid test, it's the wrong word. They've been tested many times, Newcastle, but another chance for them to show everybody that the growth of their football club, their credentials moving forward, and the exact direction that they're going in. But I also think for Arsenal, they've got a lot of doubters about them at the minute. There's a lot of people because they went out the Carabao Cup. There's a lot of people because they haven't been as swashbuckling as last year that are just writing them off. And this is an opportunity for them to get another big scalp like they took from Manchester City as an example, like they took in the end from Manchester United, and go, it's another big win for this team, another statement out there. And I'm intrigued about it. And the interesting comment we see here is from Twisted Bubba, who says statement wins are meaningless unless you lift a trophy. Now,
statement wins lead to winning a trophy to begin with.
Yeah, so you need a statement win to so you need a statement win to win a trophy. And when you say if you get a statement but don't lift the trophy, it's completely meaningless. Again, it's too much of a broad statement because nuance and context is needed. Because football you're not judged solely by singular seasons. It's the direction that you're going in. Man City didn't become as good as they were in the Centurion season because of that one season. It was a build-up and a process over a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 year period to that point. Klopp's team, when they were at their pomp, didn't just do it. It was a build-up to that process that started before Jurgen Klopp arrived at the football club. Brighton weren't this good at passing and moving the ball and have become this good at a footballing team this last few years. They've been building up to this for well over a decade now. So statement wins also help with your trajectory. So some statement wins that teams get this season, you may not see the fruits of that labor for another year or two, but it's part of the progression that gets them to winning. That's where I probably see football different from a lot of our friends on Straight Facts like Lee Gunner. Not so much... I appreciate the journey, and you can't go from where you were to winning straight away or being the best, especially when the best are teams like Liverpool and Man City and the standards they've got to. It takes time to get there. So I don't think your statement wins are meaningless unless you lift a trophy in a singular season is right. Maybe again, overall, say Newcastle get loads of statement wins and they never win a trophy in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, then you're right. But I think most teams get these statement wins and improve. They will win a trophy. They will win one.
That's what I don't understand. In football, there's something called momentum. The reason why twisted statement is twisted, and it's just basically I don't think it's true, because statement wins, if you get enough of them, will eventually lead to winning trophies. Give you a prime example: 1920 Liverpool. We started the season flying. Man City came to Anfield in December time. We had to win that game. It was a statement win. It was a 3-1 win over Manchester City, which helped us progress and carry on forward. People need to understand there's something in football called momentum. You need to pick up momentum winning games, victory, stuff like that. Sometimes it's not even the caliber of team you're playing. Sometimes it's how you win a game of football. I'll give you a prime example. Arsenal against Fulham. It was 2-2, right? You're expected to beat Fulham at home, no problem. But had they scored the header in the 103rd minute, that is a momentous victory because it pushes them forward. So this is the thing, guys. When I say 1920, I mean 19/20. But no one I'm not Erling Haaland. I'm not a robot. I'm not going to come up here and go like, guys, in 19/20, who the fuck says that? When I'm saying 1920, I'm not talking about World War I times. I'm talking about 2019/2020. Happy now? My God.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely agree. Some more super chats here. This says they need an 8 more than a striker.
Fair.
I can understand that with Partey's injuries. Arsenal rich, going find out a way of doing both. It's funny, really, because there's a lot of gooners, and this is where I want to see balance from Arsenal fans. A lot of the gooners that don't like Arteta hated the idea of Partey leaving. I think we can all now see why he wanted Partey to go. And this is why, and I learned this phrase from Daniel, the Chelsea fan that used to come on. Maybe I'm not saying he made it up, but he's the first person I ever heard say it. Availability is the best ability. Doesn't matter how good Thomas Partey is, he's ineffective when he's injured. And with the injury he's got now, the best part of this first half of the campaign, you're not going to have him. And maybe, just maybe, with the medical reports and the data science out there, maybe Arsenal knew, look, this guy's body is slowly breaking down, and at some point it's going to go, and we need to move him on now. And so maybe you're right. Maybe what they can do come January is get Tony, but maybe Partey moves on to somewhere like Saudi Arabia for nice money, and they go out there. And I actually think who they might end up going for is someone like a Douglas Luiz, personally, because they wanted him before. But maybe they can do both. Shout out to Terry, a true and proper club supporter. Keep your chin up. It can only get better. I'm a gooner and I've suffered for the past 10 years. I mean, it can get worse though, Steve. I don't want to be a pessimist, but it could get worse for us still. But listen, I have strong views about what could fix my club and what won't. However, I'm not actually telling people what they should and shouldn't do. I'm just stating what I think will work. People often misconstrued my words, and that's fine. I just think giving the money to these Glazers is perpetuating the situation. You know, it's crazy to me. I feel the way it would be, it's like being a vegan but working for KFC. That's how I view it. It doesn't make any real sense to me. Did the young boys at Arsenal win the FA Cup in their first season for Arteta? Yes and no. So
not all of them were involved heavily either as well.
Yeah, a lot of the squad now weren't involved or were on the bench. Like some of the kids, like Saka was on the bench, I think. So no, not really. If we're being accurate, it would be the right word. I wish Arsenal took the Carabao Cup FA comps more seriously, even during the Wenger era. I don't mind going out in these comps, but at least try to go far. Tired of the fans treating these comps like they're below us. I agree with you on that, mate. Terry, Arsenal fans are doubters this season, not because of the style, but because of Havertz and Nketiah, considering how injury-prone Jesus and Partey are. Now, I understand that, Ricky. So you can doubt that you're going to win a trophy, but doubting you're going to win it is different from saying after 700 million, after 4 years at one of the biggest clubs in the world, we have to start demanding trophies. So those two things are different conversations. It's a bit like what I've said. I want the club to operate, Man United to operate at a really high standard. But my expectations on what I think we can deliver are based on the reality of where we are. So Arsenal fans should be demanding trophies happen. But if your manager makes mistakes by giving contracts to the wrong players, buying the wrong players, and you don't believe you can win the trophies now, the manager has to be held accountable to the standards. In my scenario, it's a little different. I'm holding the way we perform under the manager to the owners because I don't think we're doing enough to deliver what we need. But the principle is the same. So I hear you, Ricky, but after 700 million spent, 4 years or so at the club now, nearly 4 years at the club, the size of your club, trophies have to be demanded now because you're Arsenal. And I think to say no trophies are needed, or say because I doubt we'll win them, I shouldn't expect them or demand them, I think he's letting your team and your club off the hook. I really do, Ricky, if that makes sense. If we win the league, guarantee Lee finds an excuse. No, I don't think Lee.
Imagine Lee Gunnar at the parade and going like, "Oh, we were really lucky and shit." Like with him with an Arteta out sign at the parade, that would be funny.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I genuinely believe if Arsenal win the league, Lee Gunnar will. I'm not saying, listen, he doesn't have to say sorry because this idea that you have to apologize is crazy. But he will admit in his way, I got it wrong. This manager delivered it, and he'll celebrate. I'm sure he will. As much as I give him banter sometimes and dig into him, I'm sure he will celebrate it. They bragged about their squad depth after the summer. Arteta is a catfish. He won't win them the Premier League or Champions League. Are you starting to doubt your predictions that he can do it?
I mean, this is the thing. I'm a Liverpool Football Club supporter. I don't support Arsenal. So I'm not going to, excuse how Arsenal can win it and stuff. They have to deliver. But no, I think, look, the three teams that we expect to be in a title race are in a title race in front of our very own eyes. If I ask you right now, who are the three best teams? You're going to say City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. You're going to say it. Like, it's just best. Oh, my God.
I wanted to ask you about that, right? So this is kind of a big game Monday night. Big game Monday night. Chelsea go to White Hart Lane. Poch has come out and said that Tottenham are title contenders. Why is that funny? That's what Poch just said.
Go on. What else did he say? Go on.
That's what he said. That's it.
Tottenham are title contenders. Big up, man. Big up. I'm in contention for Rihanna, you guys. You're going to see in the newspaper tomorrow. Rihanna, you get me. She leaves ASAP Rocky for Don Husam from Jordan because she watches the terrace and she likes his accent. You get me? It's just how it goes. Tottenham Hotspur, Premier League. Oh my God. Next joke, please. I didn't realize we were at a stand-up comedy show. That's really funny. Big up Poch, you know. His future as a comedian is definitely in the works, man. Big up to you. Spurs ain't winning no damn league. They're already one injury in 7 positions away from crisis. You know, I will be honest with you. Spurs are not an elite club. Spurs are not an A-list club. Spurs won't earn my respect until they lift a trophy. So until I see Spurs lift a trophy, then, you know, we might talk about that. But at the end of the day, look, I think Pochettino is just playing mind games. I think Pochettino is trying to apply pressure on Ange Postecoglou and on Spurs because whenever there's like pressure on Spurs, they kind of crumble. And we're kind of seeing it over the last 2 games. Fulham really lucky, Crystal Palace really lucky. And you know what I realized? First of all these Spurs fans that are bitching in the chat, I got asked a question about Spurs, so I'm going to answer it, number 1. Number 2, I snuck into one of the Spurs YouTube channels. I snuck into them. I didn't comment or anything. I was just listening. And 4 Spurs fans, 3 of which who are on the terrace, I listened to them with my very own ear go like, we're not in the title race. Go like, we're 1 injury away from crisis. They all went like, this is still a building progress. We have to wait, guys. So I'm actually saying what your own club supporters are saying. If you get a Vicario injury, first of all, God forbid any of these injuries happen. I wish every Spurs player to be fit till the end of the season. Vicario, Van de Ven or Romero, Udogi, Bissouma, Madison, Son. Those 7 players right there, 7 different positions. If you get a singular injury, you're done out here. Because who's your backup left back? Ben Davies. Who's your backup goalkeeper? Fraser Forster. Who's your backup striker? I don't even know. Maybe you put Richarlison as striker, which is embarrassing. Who's your backup DM? Højbjerg. This is exactly what you have to work with. So your squad ain't really ready. And Spurs aren't in no damn title race. We've seen this before. Over and over again. I've seen Everton be top of the league in like November. I've seen so many clubs that fell off be top of the league. At the end of the day, Ange Postecoglou deserves credit. Okay, you've employed the style of play. You've done what you have to do. But this glazing over Spurs needs to stop because we need to understand, come May time, this will be completely different. Here, see, leave it out in the chat. We ain't in the title race. If you ask Spurs fans themselves, they'll tell you we're not in the title race. So me laughing at that stadium is just simple as that. Like, look, he's established style of play. He's done well. We have Patrick, who's a Spurs fan, who predicted Spurs to finish 9th at the start of the season. You remember it, Terry. I predicted them to finish 9th. Every Spurs fan right now would take 4th place. Every Spurs fan right now would take 4th place happily because it guarantees them Champions League football. So at the end of the day, look, it's just a step-by-step process for them. They have to get better. They have to improve. But title race is a step too far. And I said, if Spurs are in the title race, I'm going to dye my hair white and I'm going to sing, oh, when the Spurs go marching in. I have already made that claim on Twitter and it already has 200 bookmarks. So we here.
Why do you think Poch has said this? Because I've seen some Chelsea fans angry, stating no Chelsea manager should say this. I think it's a mind game. I think he's almost saying the pressure's on you. You're title contenders. We're not. We're coming to your back garden. The pressure is on you. So I think sometimes, you know, I said before, I've had many arguments on Straight Facts with people around taking what managers say literally. And this is something where I don't think you take it literally. It is a mind game. It is to put pressure upon Tottenham because historically, as soon as people start talking about them in title races and talking about trophies, they have an allergic reaction to it. They do. Yeah. And we've seen this many, many times. So I think he's being very, very sensible here, Poch, in what he's doing. How do you see the game going Monday night? Do you think Chelsea will go there and get a result? Or do you think Spurs are going to keep this absolutely impeccable run going?
Chelsea. That's the Kai Seder song, by the way. Chelsea. Big up Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea are leaving with Sutton. I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to give it one last go. If this doesn't work, I'm going to give up and I'm going to start predicting Spurs wins every week. But Chelsea are going to get something this week. Chelsea are going to get something. I feel it in my intestines. I feel it in my soul. My soul doesn't lie to me. I know my soul, it doesn't lie to me. And I will actually be logical with this, okay? Let me tell you why I'm going to be logical. Chelsea have actually done worse against the mid-table teams than they've done against the bigger ones. Let's be logical about it, you guys. Just think about it for a second. I know you're all going to go like, oh, he's so shameless, blah, blah, but just think. Liverpool, Chelsea, draw. Arsenal, Chelsea, we all thought Arsenal going to slap Chelsea up, draw. Chelsea, who's the other big club they played? Who was it? Not Man United, who? Bro, there was another game they drew as well.
There was another one, and I forgot it. I'm going to go and look now. I forget, but yes, there was another one. Let me just click on their thing.
Anyway, there's another big game as well. We all thought, they're going to get slapped, and they ended up getting a draw. Chelsea actually, low-key, play better in the big games than they do the small games. They really do. Look at what they done to Arsenal. I think Poch is gonna surround Brighton. They beat Brighton. There you go.
Right, and that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, they Chelsea actually do much better against the bigger teams because Poch is a little bit willing to surrender possession a bit. Now, I think Chelsea's midfield, despite having Gallagher, could nullify what Spurs offer. Because we nullified them in the first 36 minutes until the red card. You could nullify James Maddison. You could 100% nullify him. He's not as unstoppable as people make out. He's having a lovely season, but he's not unstoppable. You could nullify him. And it's all about Chelsea's forwards. I have never seen... You know what's mad, Terry? I was thinking about this. Imagine we live in a hypothetical world where Haaland and Mo Salah go on loan to Chelsea for a season. Chelsea are winning this league. I'm being dead ass fucking serious right now. Chelsea are going to win the league if you just give them Mo Salah and Haaland. That's all they need. They have the biggest issue on earth with putting the ball in the back of the net. They have the biggest fucking... I've never seen a team have a bigger issue than Chelsea having the issue of putting the ball in the back of the net. Because when you look at the statistics, it's like big chances created, Chelsea are top 3. Possession, Chelsea are top 3. Blah, 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 final third, Chelsea are top 3. Every single offensive stat, you're seeing Chelsea. But it's not translating into results because they keep missing chances. Guys, I'm sorry. Anyone who called Jackson Baby Drogba needs to publicly apologize and needs to hang his head in shame and just go like, I am an idiot. If you called Jackson Baby Drogba, Jackson is the worst striker of this whole league. Worst striker in this entire league. Ollie McBurney is better. I'm so sorry. We have to be honest. Chelsea's problem is putting the ball in the back of the net. But if the Chelsea forwards this game against Spurs are lethal and they take their opportunities, Chelsea are going to beat Spurs. Chelsea have actually... When it comes to playing, they've not played the game badly or anything. They've done well, by the way, in terms of play style. But their problem, which me and Terry told you guys in the summer, all you fucking technical ability merchants, can you just have a day off? You need GA. You just need GA. Just give Chelsea a proven strike. Give them Vlahovic. Give them someone who's just literally, you know who would bang at Chelsea right now? I know he actually made the move. But think prime, like Gonzalo Higuain type. Just penalty box striker, any chance in there and pop goal. So I think with Chelsea, the terms of style and everything, they're doing it right. I think they're going to get something. I think that this game ends in a draw or a Chelsea win. I don't see Spurs winning the game. Sorry, Miss Jackson.
It's an interesting one for me. Spurs are the favourites for me. And I think Chelsea, I still think Chelsea are going to get it right under Todd Bowley. I disagree with Johnny Minerals. I disagree with Chelsea fans. I think he's ripped their club apart. I think it had to be ripped apart and rebuilt to work in this modern era. I think the way the standard Roman had, great. But the methodology, the structure was outdated because loads of people have money now. They couldn't just buy the best players and keep changing managers and it worked. They need to build something that has a consistent style, where your academies, your reserve teams, your first teams are all playing a similar way, where you can bring the coaches in like a conveyor belt, but there's a consistent style of football. I don't think they can operate the way they did. And, the way they built that squad from sort of 03 through to like 2010, that core that was built saw them through for a long time. I just think that era of football's gone now with the amount of money that's in the Premier League, the amount of clubs that have owners that are as rich as them. It's changed. So I still think they've got to do that. However, when it comes to this game, I'm going with
now
Spurs.
It's impossible, by the way, because their average age is 14. It's impossible.
Yeah.
By definition, you could get Mourinho Conte to do a tag team.
Todd Bowley and that have made mistakes. And this is where the mistakes they've made were spend £1 billion, buy a lot of these youngsters, yes, but they should have. And don't challenge the names I'm giving. I'm just telling you level of quality. With the amount of money they've spent, they should have an Osherman or a Kane. They should have a Jude Bellingham. They should have a Kim Min-jae as an example. They should have an Alisson in goal. I don't mean to actually get Alisson, but you get my point. They should have a world-class goalie, a world-class younger centre-back. They should have Bellingham's a similar age to the guys they've got. Maybe they should have a slightly older midfielder who's established, but they should have a little bit more star quality in there with all that brilliant talent and youth. And I know Bellingham's young, but the guy he's not performing like a youngster, he's performing like an older guy. So they should have had that. That element they've got wrong, and I think they need to address that. They really do. But this Monday, as much as I think they're improving, as much as I think they're getting better, I just think Spurs are going to have a little bit too much for them. I think that Spurs, there's some potency about them. They're dangerous. They put fear amongst their teams now. And one of the most impressive parts of their team is Sarr and Basuma in the middle are very hard to penetrate. And then behind them, Romero's having a great season, and he's demonstrating how good he was at Atalanta. But Van de Ven, this guy reminds me of Rio Ferdinand.
Oh, my God.
No, he does. He reminds me of Rio Ferdinand. And what I mean by that is this. Very, very good defender. Sam's gone. Very good defender. Excellent in his duels. Very good with the ball at his feet. But he has that recovery speed. So should a ball get knocked over the top? Should a teammate, the left back, Davis, the other day it happened, get caught out of position and a player gets in, he has the recovery speed to get back and cover it. That's why, by the way, Van Dijk has been so good for so long, because even when mistakes happen, he had the recovery speed to get back. I'm not saying he's as good as Rio Ferdinand. Those words did not leave my mouth before anybody clips me up. I said, reminds me of.
Clip him, KJ.
Reminds me
of.
of.
Post it on social media.
Reminds me of.
Put him on
Reminds me
social
of.
media, KJ. Put him
He
on
does.
social media. Clip him up.
Reminds me. He does. And I think there's something
How
about
the fuck does Van de Ven remind you of Rio Ferdinand? He's nowhere near as physical. Physical attributes it's not even comparable in terms of body strength. I think Rio Ferdinand is a lot smarter in terms of footballing IQ. Like, that's just, bro, Van de Ven is not a Rolls Royce because he's fast. Rolls Royce is it's like.
So again, if you go back to what I said, I spoke about how very good in the defensive duels. I spoke about very good on the ball, which I think he is, which Rio was. For a defender from Rio's era, he was very good on the ball. That's why he played in midfield a few times for us when we were lacking there. But the bit that I said really reminds me of him is that recovery speed. And that was the one thing that, above so many things I respected and loved about Rio Ferdinand, if somebody else made a mistake, or even himself, and somebody got in behind, at his pomp, I was relaxed. Both him and Yap
Stam. You know who
also
has recovery speed?
Both Rio and Yap Stam both made me feel this way as a Man United fan. Didn't matter who got in behind, they're catching him. And Van de Ven doesn't look like he's got any speed, but that man is quick. And he is physical.
So does Romero remind you of Yap Stam as well?
Rio is better.
Does Romero remind you of Yap Stam, Terry?
No. Yap Stam
I thought you were going to say because he's aggressive.
I genuinely believe this. Yap Stam was the best centre-back that ever played in the Premier League. He just wasn't here long enough to probably have that crown. That man, first season, wins a treble, wins 3 on the bounce, and then goes. The guy was just a phenom, an absolute phenom, because he looked like he was the combination of Rio Ferdinand and Vidic. He had the strength and the kind of guile and the sort of the physicality of Vidic, but he had the speed and the quality on the ball of Rio. He was the hybrid of the two. He was literally like, take your 2 best defenders at your club ever and mix them together, and you've got Yap Stam. All I'm saying about Mickey Van de Ven is he reminds me of. I don't think he's as good as Rio Ferdinand. Reminds me of is what I said. There's some super chats here. This is how you know United fans like Terry are in depressed times. They start seeing things that aren't real.
Big up, Lauren. Thank you.
So you're telling me. So what? You're telling me I'm imagining these recovery runs. You're telling me I'm imagining how good Vicky van der Ven is on the ball.
Terry, Kyle Walker has recovery runs. Why doesn't he remind you of Kyle Walker at centre back then?
Well, because Kyle Walker's not a centre back. If it was a fullback doing what Kyle
right
Walker did, it remind me of it.
Oh God. He's played
And
right.
of course, he reminds. It's not. He's a centre back, so I'm not going to mention Kyle Walker. I'm mentioning a centre back who has got great recovery speed. I think it's a great thing to have. Get me a robot, Osherman, or someone who can score is what Anton says here. Husam back in Chelsea. Wow, you really hate those frauds.
Chelsea. Big up Chelsea, man. We're gonna ruin them this month.
This here says Husam speaks about Spurs like he's a gooner.
I don't, Manny. I'm not a gooner, okay? And I don't speak about them like I'm a gooner. I just hate when we just overdo it and overreact to what's happening. I can give Ange Postecoglou credit, which I have done so. I've given Ange credit multiple times, including this video. You can give someone credit without going over the top. This is the fucking problem. Like this month right here, Mo Salah has like 6 goals in 3 games. Player of the month, Romero. Like it's too much. Like it's just the media glazing is too much. We all know they're gonna fall off anyway, including Spurs fans. Sava last week, what did he say? No, we're not gonna win the league. No, we're not gonna be in a title race. So what difference does it make to are you just annoyed at my delivery? Maybe because I say it like an asshole. I'm an asshole, no problem, but I say the truth. Hold that, Spurs fans.
Michael here says, I agree about Yapstam, but Rio was rubbish. Rio wasn't rubbish. Don't be silly.
Rio was rubbish.
Husam, you stripper. We are all twerking for Luton on Sunday.
This is one of them Spurs fans that have absolutely rattled. Big up Danny D. There is no chance Luton beat us, brother. Don't worry. Sit on the floor. Come watch this Sunday, and you'll see how a proper team beats Luton. Not 1-0 with Luton missing sitters and shit. We're gonna ruin them this Sunday. Yeah, we're about to teach you how. Come watch.
There we go. I want to thank everybody that's tuned into the show today. Husam, always a pleasure to share the screen with you. Got to shoot a little earlier today because I've got to take the kids to fireworks. It's bonfire night here. So we're going to go and do that with the babies. Listen, viewers, do us a big favor and smash the like button. Please make sure you subscribe. Back tomorrow with more content for you, match reactions and all that jazz. Oh, this here says EPL longevity argument not used on Yapstam but VVD. So again, but it was used. Yes. I literally used it. I said I think he was the overall the best centre back, but I said he won't have that crown because he wasn't here long enough.
Do you agree Van Dijk had the best peak of a centre back in the Premier League?
No.
So if you were to take a singular season, just one season, like give me at his strongest type thing. I don't think I would
listen. I think he's in for a single season. He's in the equation. John Terry in 2004-05. Ridiculous.
That season, many Chelsea fans will tell you Carvalho was better than Terry.
Okay, I'm going with John Terry myself. Leadership as well. 98-99 Yapstam was impeccable. 07-08 Rio Ferdinand.
But no one's up to Ballon d'Or level. That's
hang on, I don't give a fuck about it. I don't care. I'm just let me answer why. 07-08 Premier League, Champions League double by Man United. We also set a record for the longest period of time of not conceding a goal in league football ever with Rio and Vidic, but Rio was the man that year as well. VVD's in that equation, but those three, that's my memory. Also, I want to say Sol Campbell in the Invincible season as well. Just in memory, I have to research it because you've asked me. Those 4 performances stand out. The difference is the VVD, and I'm taking nothing away from him because he's up there. When VVD was at his pomp, there was no other centre-back in the Prem, in my opinion, was anywhere near a world-class level like that. When Rios and Vidic's and Terry's and all these guys were at their pomp, there was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 world-class centre-backs. So it was harder to differentiate. What you had with Van Dijk is he was at that level, but he was the only one at that level. So he looked better and feels better because he's the only one doing it. But
it wasn't just Premier League, though. That's why he finished second in the Ballon d'Or vote.
No,
he was one vote away from beating Lionel Messi to a Ballon d'Or.
I understand where you're coming from, but for me personally, those defensive performances in those seasons were huge. But look, people, I want to say a big thank you for every single. By the way, VVD is not a fraud in any way, shape, or form. So calm yourselves down there, people.
And
Listen,
my take ain't even that bad, by the way. Peak Van Dijk, if we're just talking one season, like as in best ever version of him, I think he's unreal.
Mate, listen, I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm not saying he isn't a world-class player. I've never said that. I never play him down. I'm taking nothing away from him. I just think that the one thing I would say is that he was a standout best in an average era overall for centre-backs in the Premier League. So it propels him to another level. And part of the Ballon d'Or is how much you're hyped up. And when you're that much better than every other centre-back, it wasn't as though there's loads of world-class centre-backs and he was just head and shoulders above them like Maldini, who wasn't always a centre-back. But it was just, there was no one. We've been crying out for years. We haven't got that many good centre-backs around anymore in football in general. You know, it's the first time I've ever looked at an Italian team and gone, who's that outstanding centre-back that everybody wants to buy? Bastoni, is he that guy? I don't know. So I think we're in a different era.
I agree with you. You just called Van de Ven, the next Rio Ferdinand.
No, I didn't say he was the next Rio Ferdinand.
I'm not going to let you starving for centre-backs right now.
I did not say it. I said reminds me of, because it's something he does. But listen, people, Vincent Kompany was class as well. Let's not forget about him. Listen, do us a big favor, smash the like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the Football Terrace. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.